Hey guys, welcome to my introduction to bottle feeding your breastfed baby. I introduced a bottle to Emma at around 3 weeks, and I just kind of wanted to talk about my tips for you guys to help with introducing the bottle. Now, I am exclusively breastfeeding. I generally only use the bottle in quote-unquote emergency situations or planned outings where I am not with Emma and she needs to be fed. So for the first couple of weeks, I was pumping to help with my left breast because the nipple wasn't cooperating. So that milk that I was pumping, I was storing in the freezer for emergency situations. And then I started building up just a small stash, nothing major like I've seen some girls go all out and fill their whole freezer, but I just have about a day's worth of milk for emergency situations. So if I was to be put on any kind of medication for the day, or I had to run out for something and she needed to be fed, that sort of thing. So I think it's a great alternative to feeding your baby, especially with your husband or partner that wants to feed as well. Maybe they want to help with night feedings, so it helps you sleep as well if you wanted to do that. Whatever your reasons are for introducing a bottle, whether you're going back to work or you just want the flexibility like me, I will be sharing my tips. I think there's 10 of them to help you guys introduce the bottle to baby. So the first tip I have for you guys is that there is no rush to introduce a bottle. If you introduce the bottle before 6 months, chances are the baby will take the bottle. It's after 6 months, they say, that it becomes a little more difficult. So at any point that you feel comfortable, you can start off. There's no rush necessarily. I did it at 3 weeks because she was already accepting the pacifier, because I noticed she wanted to suck, but she didn't want milk. And I've talked about this in a previous video, but basically I would nurse her because she's sucking on her hands or she was frustrated, but then she would cry because milk was coming out. I gave her a passy, she was fine. So that is kind of the same time, around third, fourth week, that I introduced the bottle. Now, the first time I introduced it, it was because I was going to an appointment that I did not want to bring Emma to. So it was a chiropractor appointment. I had to walk quite a fair bit away to go, and it was really cold out. So I did not want to bring a 4-week baby with me. So they say there's a couple of tips. So one, to wait a bit if you can. There's no rush for that. The second tip would be, there was no specific bottle you need to get. All bottles are different, but your baby may or may not accept it. So they may market it as the best bottle, closest to natural, etc. But if your baby doesn't accept it, then it's not the best bottle. So there are different styles of bottles. Emma did take to the Advent newborn nipple, so it's number 1. It says like a number 1 on it, and she's had no problems accepting that. And also buy these small bottles, the 4 ounces, because breastfed babies do not need more than 4 ounces, even when they get a little bit older, per feed. So generally, like formula babies have like the bigger bottles, so you can save some money by buying just the little ones. And that also helps if you have a caregiver taking over, that they're not overfeeding the baby either. My third tip would be to, there is the bottle option, but if your baby isn't accepting the bottle right away, but you need to give them expressed milk for whatever reason, you can use either a small spoon or a cup to introduce the milk. So with the cup, I was told to obviously have it as level, like you don't want to like pour it in their mouth, but as level as possible, and they can just sip it off the top like that, or spoon feed it very, very, very tiny amounts, and they can sip it off the spoon. So if they're not accepting the bottle right away, you can try express milk in those ways if they're not taking the bottle, and that's the only other option if you're not around. My fourth option, tip I should say, is to be very calm about it. Don't want to introduce the bottle when baby is screaming their head off for food, because they will most likely not accept it if it's their first time. They'll think, what the heck is this foreign object, and they're not going to be very happy with you. Now, that's my fifth tip, is to not introduce the bottle as the mom. So have someone else be in a completely different room, leave the house, whichever, because the baby will smell you and your milk and will prefer you over this new bottle they're being introduced to. So I did have my fiance bottle feed her the first time, and I was not home, and she took it like a champ. So I think that helped a lot. Number 6, use the slow flow nipple like I mentioned. The number 1 is the Advent brand. It is the slowest flow. So there are different stages, but you don't actually need to use them because the first one is the closest to what the nipple is. Our nipples do not express more milk as the baby gets older. It's not faster. It doesn't change with their age. So using the first nipple and just sticking to that is absolutely fine. My next tip would be to watch for overfeeding. So when you express milk, it's really easy for when they're drinking it out of the bottle to drink too much. Because they're taking it in a lot faster than they would if they were nursing, they can overeat like really easily. So make sure you're not pumping too much. Between 2 to 4 ounces, depending on their age, is what they should be drinking per feed. And you can find out exactly, there's a bunch of calculators out there on the internet that you can research or ask your doctor in terms of how much during the day they should be eating per feed in ounces or milliliters. And that will help you know how much to express per bag and how much to put in the bottle. So you don't want to put like 4 ounces and the baby take all 4 ounces, but really they should only be doing 2.5, and then they're overfeeding, and then they're puking and spitting up. And that's another thing. They will get a lot gassier when they're drinking from the bottle because they're taking in more air and they're drinking a lot faster. So my next tip would be to slow down their eating. So take breaks. You can, now if they're really hungry, they're not going to let you pull the bottle out of their mouth, but if you're proactive in feeding before they're starving, then you should be able to take the bottle out, burp the baby, and just, you know, take a breather, because they do drink it so fast because it comes out a lot faster. They're not used to that. There's a lot of problems with gas and spit up. So pace it a little bit. Another tip I have for you guys is not to feed the baby laying down completely flat like you would as you're nursing, because it is coming out a lot faster and using gravity with the bottle. You want to hold the baby slightly upright so that the bottle isn't downwards, because gravity is going to push that milk a lot faster out, and with the baby being on the bottle, they don't have to suck as much when the gravity is like that. So they also get lazy when they go back onto the breast if you're constantly feeding them like that. They'll get frustrated that the bottle is so quick and easy and your nipple's a lot more work. So you want to mimic the bottle feeding as close to nursing as possible. So upright and having the bottle at a degree that isn't producing a fast flow, then they're gonna have to work for that milk just as they would if they're nursing. So my last kind of tip would be, if it doesn't work the first time, then, you know, if you're close by, if you've just gone outside, then come back in and nurse, and don't allow the baby to get super frustrated with the bottle, because they're gonna associate negative connotations to that bottle. So you want to make sure it's a positive experience for them. So if it's not working out, try a different bottle, try a different time of day, try maybe the spoon for a little bit and then go back to the bottle maybe a week later. just never give up, because the baby will accept it eventually. It's just a matter of finding what works best for you. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and all of the tips. I've kind of been rambling on about it. If you guys have any questions about introducing the bottle, let me know down below and I will definitely answer your questions. Thank you again for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys next time. Much love. Bye.